Hey, thanks for checking out this week's video. So it's been a while because Christmas is hectic. And I hope everybody's enjoying the Christmas holidays, whatever you got up to. We certainly had a good time in our household. It has just been chaos. Obviously, I have a young child who is very into Christmas, so it's been a whole lot of fun. So one of the things I wanted to do for this coming year was to start bullet journaling. I had seen other artists and loads of other people doing this, and I thought it would really help me get more organized and just sort of manage my goals and time management in general. I think the first video I ever watched of somebody else doing bullet journaling was Happy D Artist, so I'll put a link to her video in the description box below for you to check out if you're interested. And I've done a fair bit of research into what I thought would be useful for me, but I thought I would share this process with you guys in case you can take anything from it too. So I started off by getting the LittleSqueesh 1917. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I did check out a few videos because I didn't want to completely butcher it, but I'm sure I've said it completely wrong. But this seems to be one of the most popular notebooks for bullet journaling, so I thought, why not? If I'm going to do it, let's do it right. The quality is really good. You can tell as soon as you get it. It feels like a luxury product. But I was disappointed that you'll see at the very beginning of this video, I did test out my pens. I didn't buy anything specially for this. It's just the pens and things that I've collected over the years. And I did a little test sheet at the very back just to see what things would bleed. Now, most things didn't. The Spectrum Noir really bled, so we will not be using those. And it takes watercolour and water in general surprisingly well, so that was quite fun. Fairly disappointed on how much shows through the page. I mean, you can already see the very first page I did was the key, and it's already showing through, which I'm quite disappointed about. I feel like the pages need to be a bit thicker. I'm going to use this until I fill it up completely, but I may look for an alternative in the future because that really bugs me personally. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about bullet journaling and how it's supposed to be used and how it's supposed to help, at least as far as I can gather, because this is my very first time doing it. Basically, the very first page is the key, and it's just a way of writing down things, like any entries that you're going to put in. If there is an event or an appointment, there are certain symbols to use just to make those things stand out a bit more, I guess, so you can differentiate things with ease. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. Basically, any tasks, you'll see that some of them, there was like dots and then a line through if that task got cancelled, or if an arrow was placed over the top of the dot, it would mean that that task got moved forward. I did one with like a double arrow because I felt like it was lacking for if you ever wanted to move a task significantly further into the future. So rather than it being like the next day or the next week, it could maybe be the next month. So then the first general spread that you'll do is the future log. The future log is basically just an overview of the entire year. I've put mine across 4 pages. Some people would do it over 2, but I felt like 4 was good enough to get some information on it without it being too crowded. Again, this is my very first one, so I don't really know how well things are going to work for me until I start using them. But basically, this is where I can put in all the birthdays and appointments and things that I just need to know way ahead of time. So I'll just take a moment to talk about how I set up the handwriting and things like that. Basically, I'm rubbish at calligraphy or faux calligraphy, also known as modern calligraphy. Basically, I went onto DA fonts and sort of did a mock-up of what I wanted my titles to be, and then I sketched them out. And basically what you're seeing in the video is me tracing my sketched pages, because all of them are already sort of laid out. Although I'm not completely against making mistakes, I still wanted it to have some sort of direction before I just went straight into it. So after the future log, some people will just go straight into their monthly spread, which is where you just start taking a closer look at the month and then again a closer look at the week after that. But some people will put in collections, and they generally come before you start breaking down the months. And collections can be anything. I've seen all sorts, from like lists of books that people want to read to mood trackers or even inspirational quotes. For me, I've tried to keep it fairly simple. I've got quite a clear idea of what I want to track and prioritize, and for me that would be my goals. You can see here I've written out that I want to improve my time management, which is one of the main reasons for starting this bullet journal. I also want to lose some weight. I want to grow my social media and start streaming, maybe come up with a stream schedule. And then I've got an art sort of section. I want to learn to oil paint. One of my goals is that by the end of next year, I want to be confident in oil painting. I also just want to improve my general drawing and painting skills, particularly when it comes to animals, landscapes, and realism. I think these things are lacking quite a bit for me personally, so that's an area I want to focus on. I also want to work on some projects this year. I had the idea of doing some colouring books and things like that. Just something that I can sort of make steps towards, because I think it's healthy to have like a project that you're working towards that you can push yourself towards and make yourself improve for. Also, you can see I've written down that I want to start doing commissions again. I have done them previously and I found them to take up all of my time and I couldn't focus on any personal art, so I want to try and figure out a nice balance for that. And then the last thing on the art list is to start drawing for 30 minutes every single day. Whether I do or don't, it's just one of those goals that I'm throwing out there. I really hope I do achieve it, and I think that if I do, I will notice a huge difference in terms of my skills and where I want to be as an artist. So I'm a bit behind the video, but the other page that was next to goals was just pretty much what I was talking about with the projects, and it's basically a place to list any ideas that I get. I put a couple of subheaders that were like a series. I had an idea to do a mythology series, or perhaps like spirit animal series, which also tackles wanting to learn to draw animals better. And then the next one was design. I quite fancy trying to do some more designy things. I know that doesn't make sense, it does in my head. And then the last one's fan art. I very rarely do fan art. I think the last time I did fan art I didn't even finish it, and there's a few things I've been seeing recently and I'm just like, I really want to draw or paint it, so I might do a couple of those things too. And then you'll see the next few pages are just blank, and that is mostly just so that I can continue that thought process. If there's any other projects or any other ideas, I can just sort of keep them coming without feeling like I'm restricting myself because then I've gone on to write something else, or perhaps I can add other collections in there in the future. Who knows? Okay, so now I'm doing the yearly trackers. I'm going to say I've kept it fairly simple, but maybe to some people this isn't simple. One of the things I want to track is the growth of my social media. So here I've got down YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and Twitch. And I keep changing the Instagram logo because Instagram keeps changing, and the current one, every time I draw it, looks like a washing machine. So excuse the inconsistent Instagram. You can see I have made a few errors as well. I kind of got fed up of using the uni pen for writing because I feel like it's not a nice pen to write with. So I decided to swap to a ballpoint pen, my favourite one for writing. And I was kind of going really slowly with it and I felt like I wasn't having any smudging issues. And then I got a little bit too confident and I looked down at the page and there's just smudge marks everywhere and it's all over my hands. So don't use that pen. One thing, you may have seen me make a few mistakes already, and I have been using the Uni Posca pen in white to try and fix it. It is not a perfect fix because the pages aren't pure white. They're off-white, but it's better than having huge black smudges here and there. Or the case was a big purple smudge near the beginning. So for this tracker, the social media, it's quite simple. I'll just put in at the start of every month what my subscriber or follower count is and track it that way. At the bottom you can see I've got two little boxes that just focus on YouTube and Instagram. I'm going to try and stick as closely as possible to posting every 2 weeks on YouTube and posting every 3 days on Instagram minimum. And if I do achieve those things, I'll just basically colour in those little boxes. Now on the other page, I've got my 30 minutes a day drawing challenge, I guess you could call it. And I've got some boxes. Then every month I've got the number of days in that month and I can just write in how many days I did actually achieve this. And then I'll colour in the boxes to sort of represent the numbers so I can get a visual sort of feel for the information too. And then under that is a really simple weight loss tracker. It's in pounds and it goes 2, 4, 6, 8 and up to a total of 2 stone. I may lose £2, I may lose nothing, I may lose 2 stone, but Either way, I don't know how well it's going to work. I know people feel a lot of pressure when it comes to the weight loss tracker. I may or may not. I'm not going to know until I use it, but I'm hoping that as I start to lose weight, I will see that information again visually and sort of feel encouraged and inspired to continue. Fingers crossed. Worst case scenario, I can just stick a piece of paper over it and then I never have to see it ever again. And for those of you wondering how you actually keep on top of these trackers, basically when you go to your monthly and then your weekly and so on, you will sort of replicate a mini version of this tracker, which you will then fill back in at the front, maybe at the end of the week, at the end of the month, however often you can be bothered. I think that's part of the challenge of bullet journaling, is making sure you don't put in too much to do, because I know me personally, if there is too much to fill in and it becomes like a chore, I just won't do it. A bullet journal is supposed to make things easier, not harder. Well, I hope this video was informative. I am going to have part 2 of this where I go into the monthly spread and break things down even further, so that should be up for you next week. And let me know if you guys bullet journal. I'd love to see your spreads, or if you've got any tips or advice, especially for people new to bullet journaling, feel free to share them in the comments below. Until next time, bye!